none of this surprises me at all because we see it the whole time. When things don't go her way, she just overreacts. And clearly, in this case, with Edward Enninful, has made something of an enemy because he then dropped her from something else she would have liked to be a part of. And it seems to happen the whole time, really, people do act in character, and she's very demanding. She's difficult to work with. She has her ideas of what she wants to do, and she doesn't seem to want to listen to anybody else. And that's when you get into a trouble. Well, once again, I think people do always act in character, and there is a theme which runs through all this is that she's always rejecting people, or indeed, as you say, she falls out with them. I mean, her father, for one, who was very good to her when she was growing up, her first husband, he just gets dumped. Her Canadian chef lover in Canada, he got dumped as well. Jessica Mulroney, her great friend in Canada, she got dumped. The entire British royal family, and indeed, of course, apart from her mother, all her own family. And then, of course, you get the stories of staff not being able to work with her. And now we've got the Edward Enninful story we're being told that they fall out because she can't get the cover that she wants, and so it doesn't happen. And it's just a normal theme. And I'm afraid it does seem to me to be a sort of a quite an interesting trend which has been building up recently, which is that, everything she does seems to go wrong. I mean, we're always saying it's going wrong. We always, we look at her TV show, and she puts herself out there and she does something, and on the whole, we can criticize it. And she seems to have got herself into that situation of where everybody, including me, always criticizing her. And the reason for that is because, she just, is so incredibly difficult. And that is the theme and that is the narrative now. And I suspect that that will go on and probably get worse. I think she's trying to control it, and I don't think she's doing a very good job because the trouble is that, winding the clock right back, once they left the royal family, basically they went out into a strange and alien world in which they have to make their own way. And we've talked in the past about the many changes of direction that have taken place during the last few years, but particularly in the last months, whereby everything seems to be, there's a new project and then it changes, and that doesn't work, so she tries something else. So she's always reinventing herself, which of course is what you have to do if you want to be a celebrity and you want to keep yourself in front of the media.
Today, we're going to break that pattern down and show you exactly why so many believe the royals weren't the first and won't be the last to get dumped by Meghan when the spotlight dims or the feedback isn't flattering. Before royalty, before Oprah, before Spare and Spotify, Meghan had a pretty normal life, filled with friends, colleagues, and people who supported her during her rise. But here's the thing, most of those people are no longer in her life. Let's look at some examples. Nanaki Pretty, her childhood best friend, who knew Meghan since age 2, says Meghan changed the moment she became ambitious. When Nanaki disagreed with some of Meghan's behavior during her first marriage, she was cut off. A Jessica Mulroney, her stylist and closest friend during the early royal years, was dropped after a public controversy, and Meghan never addressed her again publicly. Staff members and personal aides in Kensington Palace reportedly quit in frustration over Meghan's treatment, some nicknaming her Duchess Difficult. Once they were no longer useful or cooperative, they were replaced. Now, it's one thing to outgrow a friendship or change your circle. But when dozens of people all say the same thing, that they were loyal, then suddenly frozen out, that's not coincidence. That's a pattern. Now, let's talk about the most public dumping.
So the Love Megan program, I mean, it didn't appeal to me because it seemed to be much more about her than about the recipes, and we weren't even told at the end what the recipes were, how to follow them. I mean, take that Mother's Day picture the other day. Most times when you people that I look at on on the internet. I mean, on Mother's Day, they were all celebrating their own mothers and they were praising their own mothers. What was she doing? They were praising herself as a mother. So it's always focused on her. And once again, you've got the back of the heads of the children, which we see the whole time. I mean, that's going to get very tiresome, I think. And I really feel sorry for those children, and I wonder what they're going to think when they grow up and realize how they're being used in these things as well, you know. It's not a very good story, I'm afraid. Well, it's very hard to work out what he's thinking about it all. I mean, you know, I can suggest, you know, that probably from time to time they sit down together and work out which direction that they should be going in the future, because some of the things that he's done recently have been sort of independent and so on, and playing rather more to his own skills. But you know, he must see that they watch everything, they monitor everything. They must see the way all these projects are reacted to one after another after another. I mean, they're not treated very generously. I mean, I'm guilty of it myself. I'm not being particularly generous about it because I don't really like it. And the reason I don't like it is because it's exploitative. You know, but the only reason we're interested in her is because she's married to Prince Harry, and he's now been isolated, and he's just a figure in the background. He pops up at the end of the Love Meghan program just to show that he knows it's taking place. He popped up at the end of the Oprah Winfrey interview for exactly the same reason. She jumps onto the stage in Invictus Games and starts talking about things when we actually want to, you know, perhaps him to talk about things and then get on with the games. It's nothing to do with her really, but it's always like she's always sort of trying to take over the narrative. So when you ask me, is she trying to control it? And you know, yes, she is, and then she should listen to somebody like Edward Enninful. I mean, he's a very, you know, highly qualified editor, and he knows what he's doing, and he's running a very important magazine. And I would have thought it would have been well in her interest to keep in with him.
Meghan has done. The royal family. When Meghan married Prince Harry, she was welcomed with historic fanfare. She was offered full royal support. She was gifted a wedding worth millions. She was given a platform to do charitable work globally. But what happened when the job, yes, being royal is a job, turned out to include protocol, media scrutiny, and shared spotlight? She bailed. Not only did Meghan walk away from royal duty, she and Harry launched a full-blown media campaign blaming the institution, the staff, the press, and the monarchy itself. Let's be clear. The monarchy isn't perfect. No one's saying it is. But Meghan didn't just leave quietly. She trashed the system on her way out, using Oprah, Netflix, Spare, and Spotify to shape the narrative in her favor. Just like with her former friends, once the system no longer served her, she rejected it entirely. So what's really going on here? It's not just about falling out with people. It's about control. Meghan tends to maintain relationships only as long as she controls the story, the optics, the messaging, the image.
Instead of upsetting him. I mean, and she doesn't know better, unfortunately, as has been proved time and time again, because they're always having to change direction, as I keep saying, you know, and you just wonder what they're going to come up with next. And the whole situation, you know, that awful interview that Prince Harry himself gave. I mean, you know, the royal family should never give interviews, frankly. They always seem to go wrong. There are very few that don't. Um, and that one seems to have caused an enormous amount of trouble, and has, you know, had the palace coming out and saying, you know, that he can't be trusted with any information. And then he tells us things which he about the king and how ill he is, maybe. And does he know that? I mean, if he's not talking to his father, how does he know that? Is he just saying that? But it's not helpful, you know. It's all counterproductive, and I'm sure he would like to reconcile with his family, but he's not going about it in the right way. And I don't think that she shows any wish to reconcile with them or have anything more to do with any of them. And I don't think they wish to have anything to do with her either, probably. Presumably, at the moment, people are very interested in them. I mean, even if I give a lecture about, you know, the crown or about the royal family in general, it always comes back to they always ask questions about Harry and Meghan. And that seems to be the topic everybody wants to talk about. But you know, as you know, as well as I do, time moves on. Some new celebrity comes along, somebody else that they're interested in, and it's not going to get any easier for them, especially since there doesn't seem to be any real substance behind any of this. I mean, where the working royal family have the advantage is that they are not working for themselves, and they're doing sometimes not particularly romantic or exciting things, but they're working for the general cause, you know, and they've got a huge system behind them, and it's a sort of a hugely ongoing project which should go on so basically forever.
The moment someone challenges her, the second a situation becomes less than flattering, she distances herself, rewrites the past, and presents herself as the one who is wronged. This is exactly what we've seen with her family, her friends, her staff, the British press, and even Harry's own relatives. It's a consistent pattern of my way or goodbye. And that makes you wonder, what does that say about someone's character? Because most of us navigate tough relationships. We have hard conversations. We compromise. Meghan? She exits. And she takes the camera with her. So, here's the real question. Is Meghan just setting boundaries and protecting herself? Or is she cutting off anyone who doesn't follow her script?
And these two are doing something totally different. And it was always a danger when they went out on their own. And I just wonder, how long people will be interested in them. I suppose then, of course, again, I say that, but I suppose the poor children will grow up and people will start being, wondering how they're getting on with their parents and what they're doing and, how they're being educated and whether they wish to, you know, be with their cousins because they don't have any other cousins, it seems. They're going to wonder it surely at some stage. Wouldn't it be rather fun to be in England with their cousins who have rather an interesting life? I mean, I just see it's going to be very bad, I think.
From childhood friends to palace staff to the crown itself, there's a growing list of people who have all been pushed aside once they challenge her version of reality. Let me know in the comments. Is Meghan a strong woman taking control of her life? Or someone who abandons others when she can't control them? Like this video if you think loyalty should go both ways. Subscribe for more honest royal commentary. No PR spin, just facts, patterns, and truth. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.